Hey guys, welcome back. It's Biggs. Today we got to do something. We got to get out in the field. We're working at home. We've torn apart one of the big tanks at home to get it ready for something really cool. And I'm really excited. But to do that, we got to get out in the field and we got to start looking for some things. Now, the tank we're going to be doing is one of the 160s. Before we get to it, here's the intro. Now, one of the 160-gallon tanks, I only had a couple of this, a couple of that. I had some people wanted this, some people wanted that. And I thought, hey, it's a perfect time. Let's do a switch up on the tank. And there's certain things that I'm starting to stage for projects down the road. You guys saw the Amazon tree boas for that big vivarium that's going to go upstairs in my living room. Well, we got them now because they're babies and we can grow them up. Same thing when it comes to the fish. So we've got some really cool fish that my local wholesaler got in, something Amazonian based. That means we have to turn this tank into a slice of the Amazon. So to be able to do that, I have to go to the Amazon, or at least the closest that I can get to, which is the big river that runs through the city of town. So this is a natural bend in the river. It literally comes around a corner here, or a corner, you know what I mean? And it goes all the way around and it curves all the way back on itself. Now, when a river has these kind of curves, it makes it for a natural depository for it to drop things off. And all the different types of logs and deadfall and things like that that end up in the river, they often get deposited along the banks of these type of areas where they've got these big curves. So that's why we're here looking for stuff today. And I don't really see much that's in the lines of what we're looking for, of what we want to use for this aquarium. We've been dry all summer, but we just had a lot of rainfall, about 4 inches of rainfall suddenly. So the river's way up from what it used to be. But you can see where the river's been up and higher in different parts of the year, and it exposes the root systems of some of the trees and stuff, and a lot of the erosion, and all that ends up in the Red River. But those are the type of stumps, once the tree gets killed, those are the type of stumps that I looking for as things for like anchors in the corner of an aquarium, because then it makes it look like a riverbank. All right, well, we got to get to it now. There's the tank that we've been talking about. That's the tank that's cleared out, ready to go for the Amazon aquarium. So let's take a peek and see what we got and what we're going to do. All right, well, it's the same tank you guys have seen before. It's 160 gallons. It's basically the same footprint, 6x2 of a 180-gallon standard tank, except for I made my tanks a little bit shorter because they work better when I had the two of them together on a rack. Now, the tank is completely empty right now, except for a very few inhabitants, which we'll talk about in a second. This is the one that got that background. This is the back to nature background that was all fully installed, covered over the seam of the overflow and everything. Remember, the canister filter is just here keeping it going, so we have it for the other tank down the road. But this tank, we caught all the fish out of it, took them all to my buddies and stuff like that, some of the ones that people wanted. Now, I wasn't aware, but I'm seeing them now. I see them on the back, and those guys definitely don't belong in the Amazon. Jerks. What are you doing in there, big jerks? Now, the only thing I don't like about Malaysian trumpet snails being in this tank here, and it's, well, obviously if they're here, it's kind of challenging to get rid of them now, but is when they go over the overflows there and into the other side, that's where the pump is, and they can damage the impeller slowly of the pump because the pump pumps water up to the filter here. And everything works great. But Malaysian trumpet snails, as long as the population is kept in check, it's usually not much of an issue. Now, we took apart the tank, took the fish out, and we got all this material. Now, the tank that we want to set up, I have a very different vision of what I want to do. This stuff here is mostly what I would use for a fast water riverine tank, lots of boulder strewn rubble and stuff, piece of pipe for breeding. A lot of that stuff won't be used, but a lot of the wood we will use, because I got an idea of what I want to aspire. And then I also, this is a lot of the stuff that we collected just yesterday. So I've got some finer branches and stuff. Still got a bit of, it's not live, it was all still deadfall, but it's not super brittle yet, which is very important for me for what I want to do. And then we got some nice big chunks of some deadfall here. And we got a nice big stump. We've got some of the old branches. Those old branches there are the exact same stuff as that from a year ago. And then I have some pieces here. This is still remnants of spiderwood from years before. So I got an idea of what we want to do. If I'm talking about building this tank as kind of the precursor to the big 12-foot aquarium that's going out in the living room, which is going to be out there, I'm thinking of growing up some fish and stuff that I want to be able to put out there. So I want to do this as an Amazonian black water aquarium. Now I have lots of the different botanicals, as you guys have seen before, and that's something that'll be an integral part of this. But I want to kind of recreate that the riverbank look, the stream look. So that's what we're going to use all the different branches and stuff for. And if we're going to do the black water style habitat, I won't be able to do everything all at once because one, I'll have to make backwater. But as you guys have seen already, my plans change, and they sometimes change just by a little walk in nature and seeing something. All of a sudden it gives me a different inspiration or a different idea, and then the plans change. But for right now, let's get this tank somewhat hardscaped. Let's put this on a time lapse so you guys don't have to sit here and watch it for hours. No, you wouldn't anyways, but let's go ahead and put it on quick time lapse, see what we can do. Now, it won't be a black water aquarium without the addition of some botanicals. We've got different types of seed pods. I don't even know what some of them are. Putting your hand in boiling water is not something I generally recommend. Little banana stems, things like that. All sorts of things that you'd find on the forest floor or on the bottom of the Amazon River. So, I'm gonna let this boil down a little bit. Boiling these down, all it's really doing is it's breaking down that cell structure within it and removing the air pockets inside the product, so it's going to help it sink a little bit quicker. As you can see right now, if I went through all this in the aquarium, it would literally just all float at the surface, and then it's going to crowd my skimmer box. So I want to kind of break down that cell structure a little bit. Basically, I'm helping break it down a little bit further, but then it'll sink right to the bottom and give us that look that we're after. So we'll let that boil down for a little bit. Well, that's clearly not going to be enough botanicals. Now, most of these leaves, the cell structure of them is a lot lighter than, say, those big giant woody-like pods. So most of the leaves are all down. Some are still stuck within the tangle of the roots of the trees and stuff, and that would be fine. But most of the pods and stuff are still stuck floating at the top there, the heavier, woodier ones. But I realized very quickly after I put all that in there, we need more. We need a lot more. So we're boiling another whole pod of leaves of 3 more types of leaves and stuff. It'll have that variety on the bottom. Well, I'm really liking how this tank all came together. I think it's going to mature. We're still got to add that black water extract to it. I think it's going to mature, and it's just going to get better with age. Next video, though, we're going to show you what fish are planned for this tank, and we'll get them in there. And you'll understand the bigger picture as to why we got to start with them first before we get the big tank built. So until next time, thanks for watching, my friends. I'll see you soon. Take care.